All right. And so the why, as with everything, every behavior tells us a story, and it's no different when you're dealing with siblings. Their relationship is so different than the one that we have with our children. They have to navigate their families together. They have to navigate friends. They have to navigate currently the pandemic, and then also learning together all the time in their home. And so we want to dig deep and figure out what's going on with our children and their relationships. When their behavior is negative with their sibling, are they looking for attention from us? Are they looking for connection, as we talked about a few weeks ago? Are they looking for space, physical space, mental space from us, from their siblings? Or are they trying to get something? Is it an item of value in the home, TV watching, an iPad, a toy that they are looking for with their behavior? So then we want to try and decode that. So that's that pause before we take any action to think about what's going on with my children and what's the best course of action. And then it's about being deliberate. And that's what we've been talking about a lot, is making a plan before time, so that you know when these issues arise with your children, you've got a plan of action, how you're going to interact with your children, and then your goals for them as parents, how they will interact with each other, with your support. And so when we're thinking about this picture of the book, they've got one book and these two children look like they are having a great time together, but as we know, that could turn sour in about 2 seconds if someone grabs the book, or I want to read that, or not that one, or you promised, or any of those interesting phrases that our children use. And so it's looking at what are the things in your house, in your environment, that are limited in terms of resources, and then scheduling around that. For younger children, even up to grade 2 or 3, and maybe even older, timers can really help. So, your sister's going to use this right now. We're going to throw the timer on for 20 minutes, and then it will be your turn. And so you start showing your children that we can share space, and that fair doesn't always mean equal. So it doesn't mean at the same time and the exact same thing all the time. Setting up routines around sharing, watching TV together. All this time it's your brother's turn to choose the show. And then next time it will be yours, having that sort of give and take, that collaboration and that compromise that we need to have when we're a part of a system or a family. It can help with that sense of control that children need. They know that they're going to have a bit of control over that. One of the most important pieces of information that I read in several articles was separate them. It was in bold, it was with exclamation marks, and that right now in particular, kids may just need us to say, it's time for you to spend some time apart. Another good time to use a timer, which is, we're going to spend an hour, you're going to be in this space, you're going to be in this space, and we're just going to have a break from each other. Because we are together all the time because of distance learning, or at least our children are, even if the grown-ups have gone away to work, they need space from each other, and parent mandated space can be a really helpful thing. And trying that and then seeing how your children react to each other after they've had a decent amount of time away from each other. It's not punitive. It's just to give an enforced break from each other. They all need their own time and their own space. And then the last one, which can be really hard for us right now, but it's trying to schedule one-on-one time with each child when possible, so that they know that they're going to get time with you, and that may help decrease a little bit of the connection seeking or attention seeking behavior when they're arguing with one of their siblings. Please know that if you have any questions or comments, or want to share some of the struggles that you're having with your children, please put those in the chat, and we can read through those and maybe talk about them as we go on. So age-appropriate ways for sharing items and times. I chose this picture because these two children are clearly not extremely close in age, and so the older boy is going to have some different desires and wants and needs than the younger child. And we know at times that we expect older siblings to behave really well with your younger siblings and include them in play and let them use your toys. And we need to be mindful of the fact that, again, they need space from each other, and they need, some things may just be the older child's, where it's about respect and respecting their space and their items. And so beginning to teach that as we live in a family together, we need to be respectful of each other's things. Some things are shared, and some things it's okay that they just belong to that one person. Positive reinforcement and encouraging connection. So kids love to be caught doing the right thing. And sometimes it can feel hard to catch our children doing the right thing, but capitalize on it when you see it, especially when they're having a positive sibling interaction. You can ham it up, make it a big deal. Wow, that was great the way you supported your sister. I really appreciate that. It goes along with the values of our family of being kind to each other. Thank you for doing that. That was just made my day. And then encouraging those connections. It might be whispering to one of your children about the other sibling. Right now, Danny's having a really tough time, and I know that when you're near him, he does a lot better. So maybe you might want to consider that today, that he's just struggling a little bit, and we need to support him. And again, you're teaching your children that in a family, we support each other, not just the grown-ups supporting the children, but the children can help each other. And then celebrating differences between your children. So really highlighting the things that each child is good at, and looking at those strengths and ways that they can support each other. So our children are studying and learning around each other right now, and some may be stronger readers or writers or in math, or they may be big thinkers, and UOI is just no problem for them. And it could be a good time to talk about that. Hey, what was happening in your UOI lesson today? Maybe your brother could grab a few of those questions from you, or I saw you were working on that math problem, and maybe that's something we could support each other with. And it helps celebrate the diversity in our family of strengths. And this one was one that has come up a lot in the past for me as a counselor, is what to do when siblings are fighting, because the bickering and the arguing and those different things, they come into play a lot, and you hear a lot of different philosophies on it. So let them sort it out themselves. They just have to figure it out, suck it up and get on with it. And then you've got others where parents are constantly intervening, and the kids don't really have any space or time to figure things out. And what I pulled together is that we don't want to send our kids out there to solve problems unless we've really taught them and practiced on how to do that. And siblings are a good way to do that within your family. So as the grown-up, it's about getting to the root of that recurring issue, whether it's time, space, or the thing. Model calming down for your children before trying to solve that problem. So using language like, I can see everybody's really angry right now. We need to take a couple of deep breaths, and then we're going to figure out how to solve this problem. And so you're modeling, what does positive conflict resolution look like? Then you need to listen to each child, and that again models for kids that everybody needs airtime, and that while one person's talking, even though they may feel a bit defensive about the situation, we need to be respectful and listen, and then create that plan together of how to move forward. For example, it seems like you really wanted the Xbox today, and your brother ran in and grabbed it out of your hand while you were right in the middle of playing a game. I can tell that this is a recurring problem. Maybe we need to look at a schedule. Would that help? What do you guys think? So mediating and then helping come up with some solutions for some of the recurring issues in the house. However, it's always parents' responsibility or caregivers to step in if there's physical harm, or if you hear some sort of humiliation happening, because we need to be really clear with our children that we don't interact that way, not at home, not on the playground, not at school, not out in the real world. And so that was one of the really important points that was made in several of the articles. And then, of course, after you've taught these skills and practiced with your children at different stages and ages, it is then really appropriate to be able to say, you guys need to sort this out yourselves. If you've tried it and you can't come to a successful solution, please let me know, and I'm happy to come step in, but I really need you guys to try this on your own first. And then you can start that cycle over again as they get older, and you want to teach them, more advanced conflict resolution strategies. And then there's no Calvin and Hobbes today because Calvin doesn't have siblings. He just has Hobbes, and they seem to get along perfectly all the time. But as I was looking through, this one made me laugh because I feel like I hear this in my house at least 10 times a day. And I just wanted us to generalize with each other that we're all going through this. There isn't a single parent in the world with more than one child that hasn't experienced most likely all of these, and maybe all at the same time. And that really, especially right now, laughter is our best medicine. So if you can see some of these behaviors and have a little chuckle on the inside as you're trying to get yourself calm to deal with these recurring issues. And remember that there are a whole bunch of us all around the world and in Hanoi going through the same thing. I hope that little tidbit will help. So our homework for this week is just to be deliberate, as we've talked about. Take a pause, think about what's going on, talk with your partner about what's happening in the family. Make a plan for at least one section of issues that are arising on how to deal with them, so that you can have a concerted effort together to move forward, and then just give it a go. Try something different and then reflect on how that went. You might be surprised at one small tweak can make a huge difference, but making a change can feel like a Herculean effort. And then these are the 4 articles that I've mentioned so far: how to foster positive sibling relationships, should parents intervene when siblings fight, when siblings won't stop fighting, and how to help siblings get along.